You guys just heard Kellyanne Conway talking about sexist attacks, as we mentioned in the New York Times article, and also about the focus on her looks and whether she looks haggard because she's working so hard. She's got 4 kids. Let everybody react. Megan.
You know, listen, in the women's taking a day off work, women's protest this week, I talked a lot about the modern definition of feminism meaning a very different thing for liberal women than it does for conservative women, and I thought she summed that up very well, and I thought all the comments made by, I believe, a congressman, that vulgar comment you talked about was completely beyond the pale, and I have also been surprised at Nancy Pelosi's response to it, not defending Kellyanne Conway.
Do you get a lot of flack on
every woman on all 3 of us will leave the studio and get flack about how we look and what we say. Yes.
I look like Scooby-Doo, apparently. And it gets sent to me, among other things. Kellyanne's wrong about women not defending her. I'm one of them. I thought a lot of things have been blown out of proportion. She's a lightning rod. There are men in the White House making many bigger mistakes than she did. I wish she hadn't done the facelift thing, because then she's kind of pointing out women who do that. And that's a more sexist thing, the very thing, you know, that we're guilty of and was brought up in the New York Times piece about her.
Obviously, I think it was said as a bit of a joke, but also, yes, a few women, including Chelsea Clinton, defended her, but there wasn't, you know, you didn't have now coming out and saying Kellyanne Conway is being mistreated.
Right. Look, the other thing I would say is by indulging in some of the attacks, I think she's taking away from the president's message some, which is what her job is to be driving, which I think is the biggest problem for her.
All right, my view is she has every right to respond, and I did ask the question. All right, let's get to Obamacare. Much of the media is savoring the sort of Republican dilemma on replacing the program. A conservative revolt against the plan, backed by Paul Ryan and praised by President Trump.
Folks, the Republican health care plan already has an identity crisis because the Republican Party still has an identity crisis, at least when it comes to ideology.
And it seems to me that if they do pass this, which I don't think they will, they're going to end up owning the problems Obamacare continues to have without really getting a great deal for it.
While the American Health Care Act is a step in the right direction, it is far from perfect. It must be fixed.
So how much are the media enjoying the spectacle of Republicans fighting Republicans over how to reform this program?
Love it. There's nothing that the media loves more than Republican on Republican violence. But I actually think the criticism you just showed is valid. I mean, if you talk about the Freedom Caucus, Rand Paul, Justin Amash, this is definitely going to be a fight that is going to go on for a long time, basically about the soul of the future of repeal and replace.
For 6 years, House Republicans kept repealing Obamacare 50, 60 times, and the press said, well, you don't have a plan. Well, now there is a plan, but it's hard to sell to everybody because you have a conservative wing that doesn't want to keep much of the program, and you have a president and the leadership that wants to sort of strike a compromise.
This plan is dead, but...
Dead?
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to have this.
How do you know that President Trump is not going to bring the party together?
We're not having this replacement.
Oh, you're saying there'll be some version.
You know, what the media has been running all week is that clip of Trump from the campaign, during which he's saying Republicans don't like this, but I want to have even bigger, better health care. He practically wants kids to stay on their parents' insurance until they're eligible for Medicare. He was telling what he was going to do.
Is the press doing a good job explaining all the complexities here about tax credits and subsidies and, you know, this?
Yeah, I think that actually dominated a lot of the week. I think the coverage has actually been quite good. And look, I think you're seeing Paul Ryan and Tom Price and others realize that they have to do a better job messaging, and they were saying that toward the end of the week, saying, okay, we need to do a better job talking about the 3 phases of this plan.
2 other issues. So Rex Tillerson traveling to Asia, first big overseas trip as Secretary of State, not taking reporters. He will hold a press conference. He'll talk to reporters who get there on their own. Very unusual for a new Secretary of State.
I don't understand this at all, and I think it only gives people in the media reason to question exactly what he is doing. If you take a position at that high of a level in the administration, you should definitely be bringing, you know, a pool of reporters with
Margaret.
you.
I mean, Rex Tillerson is the anti-Trump when it comes to the media. He loves it. He manipulated it. He doesn't like what he's getting now.
Trump, yeah.
But Rex Tillerson is a traditional CEO. He doesn't like the media, and he doesn't want to be in it. But it would be to his benefit because he's kind of the absent cabinet secretary.
All right, lots of headlines in the last 48 hours. 2 front-page stories in the New York Times, 1 front-page story today in the Washington Post about the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, asking for the resignations of 46 U.S. attorneys, including, as it turns out, Preet Bharara, who is the high-profile U.S. attorney in Manhattan, the Southern District of New York, who refused to turn his resignation and had to be fired. Is this a story or a non-story? And I ask that because, as you know, there is quite a precedent here for other new presidents going this route.
Well, it's definitely news. it is a story to see all of these attorneys go and that they have to replace them. I think what makes it a little bit of a bigger story is that the White House said at first that they wouldn't be doing it in this fashion, and they went back on their word. They told Dianne Feinstein that they were going to do it in a staged process.
Okay, so
but it's not worthy of the uproar that it's getting.
Bill Clinton fired 93 U.S. attorneys, including Jeff Sessions at that time in Alabama, got a letter from Janet Reno, but it was done a little less abruptly. But that seems to me, the press is insinuating there's something wrong with this.
It's far from historically unprecedented, as you just mentioned, with President Clinton, and I think this is the problem why people begin or already do distrust the media, because if it's something that's happened time and time again, and the media is acting like Donald Trump is doing something completely different, it looks like it's the crooked media trying to hurt him.
No, it's totally expected, but the most famous one is the one that's causing, I think, the stir, which is the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Preet Bharara.
Who perhaps is trying to get some headlines.
And Trump had hugged, I mean, Trump
Yeah.
had hugged him, and
Right.
I think, and that was well covered, but that was before Steve Bannon had taken complete possession of Trump's soul. Now,
Right. Little bit of a leap there.
A little bit of a leap, but now he wants to fire the guy he assured was going to keep his job.
All right, I think you may be getting a little Twitter response on that one. Just to be clear, U.S. attorneys are political appointees. They can get replaced like anybody else at the top when a new administration comes in. That's the way it works. Aaron McPike, Meghan McCain, Margaret Carlson, thanks for coming by.